Hi, I'm Maggie Mestrich, the Director of Business Development for Carmel Swim Club and Carmel Swim Academy. We share stories and experiences from our Carmel Swim Club alumni as a way to demonstrate the incredible, long-lasting impact that swimming, and specifically swimming with Carmel Swim Club, can have on your life. Today, I'm talking with Colleen Bzowski. Hi, Colleen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well. We're in winter phase 2 right now in Chicago. So I'm really excited for this weekend. We're at 60 again, but it's like 35 right now. So outside of that, I'm pretty good.
All right. Why don't we go ahead and jump in? Can you place yourself in the context of Carmel swimming?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those things where I remember like one of the biggest coin phrases like courage and perseverance. And I think that that's something I've taken with throughout my entire career through, collegiate swimming and then beyond swimming in my professional career. And it's one of those things where any place I go in life or whatever I encounter in life, I always try to remember what I learned at Carmel Swim Club. And that is, you can do anything that you set your mind to. And if you encounter roadblocks, as long as you persevere and believe in yourself, you can get to the end destination. So I think that I can kind of place myself at any point of life and any stage of life, all rooting back to, my senior year at Carmel.
And so is that when you participated with Carmel Swim Club as a senior in high school?
Yes. So I actually, from like a little itty bitty kid, my older siblings swam at Carmel when they were like 10 and 12. And by default, being the baby of the family, I also swam. So I think around like 5 and 6, I swam for like maybe 6 months, and then took a nice little long break from swimming. Did like another short 3-month stint at another club in 6th grade, then retired for a little bit. And then freshman year of high school, I didn't really know what to do. And my sister was like, try swimming again. So I tried swimming. Swam for a little bit. The high school I was at wasn't a good fit. And then I actually met all the kids at Carmel and was like, oh, this is family. So I founded, Carmel High School, founded myself in the club, and have been able to kind of like root back to that place in my life all of the time, every day.
So where are you now? You alluded to the fact that geographically you are in Chicago, but What about professionally, personally, whatever you would like to share there?
Yeah, so I'm downtown Chicago. I live with my husband a little north of West Loop. Professionally, I've been working at a telephony startup. So it's like a tech startup for the last 3 years. At startups, you tend to wear a lot of hats. So product management, project management, I manage our enterprise customers, help with the team. So there's a lot of things I do professionally there. And a lot of that is due to the fact because of how hard you have to work at swimming. That translates directly to how hard you can work in your professional career. So yeah, I just live up here in Chicago with my husband and the love of my life, my 15-pound wiener dog.
And what's the dog's name?
Harold. Well, he's got a couple, but Harold normally, Harry when we're trying to get him excited, and Harold Napoleon Drew Bzowski when he's in trouble.
Okay, yeah, you got to throw the middle name.
Oh yeah, he's a mini wiener dog, so he definitely has Napoleon syndrome.
Okay, let's bring it back a little bit earlier now. Can you recall some of your earliest memories of being around the water? It doesn't have to be related to competitive swimming, but just anything around the water.
Yeah. I actually can. So part 1, I mean, when you live in Indiana or the Midwest, you have winter, so you can't swim normally year round. I loved baths. I would take a bath, no joke, twice a day if my parents would let me. They wouldn't. But I loved bath time. And that translated to during the summer, I really loved going to the neighborhood pool. I would ask my dad every day he came home from work, can we go swimming? Can we go swimming? So it was something that I was kind of like a water baby early on, even though that directly didn't translate to club swimming at the time.
Definitely. I'm just chuckling because my number one survival technique through this pandemic year with my young children, I would stick in the bathtub.
Oh yeah.
Multiple times a day. And
I remember my parents had to pull me out. I had toys in the bathtub. At the time, this is going to age me, but I had My Little Pony. I had all the Happy Meal toys, and my dad would literally have to come upstairs after dinner and be like, it is time for bed. And then my mom would have to come up and they would try to tag team. And by the time the water was not even lukewarm, but freezing, I was like, okay, I'll get out.
Yeah.
I guess it's time.
I love that. You spoke a little bit at the very beginning about some of the things that you learned while you were with Carmel Swim Club and that you still really draw upon those regularly in your life. Can you identify what the most significant lesson is that you learned during your time here?
I think this is like a voodoo topic that a lot of people don't want to talk about, but overcoming failure. I think, swimmers, I mean, as much as you're competitive against, other, teammates or competitors and other lanes, you're really competitive with yourself. Yeah. And it's not always feasible to achieve everything all the time. But what you have to do is remember that if you keep working towards the goal through setbacks, you will achieve that. And that was something that Carmel really taught me. I always thought like, every time I jump into the pool for swimming, I would get a best time no matter what. Yeah. And it was one of those things that like Chris really helped me understand that like you will get a best time when that time comes, but you have to put the work in. And through those times, you'll have, bottlenecks like in the career world, or you'll have challenges that you face during mid-season where you're really tired. But you have to remember, if you trust and believe in the end goal, you will get there. And that's something that I've found myself remembering in a career. If I ever feel like 6 months, I'm a little stuck, but I always want to remember that it's the same time when like you're getting ready right before taper. Like you feel really tired, you're beat up a little mentally, physically, but you have to remember that if you keep pushing through the hard times, the end, will get there and the reward will be so worth it. And that's something that like college, after college, currently, professionally, personally, I always remember that you're going to have challenges and you're going to fail, but you have to remember that like failure is normal, and learning to how overcome those failures is what really is something that Carmel taught me to do. Yeah.
What advice or insight would you offer to current swimmers?
So I think like I could give something professionally or I could get something like career-wise, but one thing that I would give anything to go back to would be just to be surrounded by my best friends. I've gone through many friends groups in life and I have a lot of close friends, but my high school friends, like at Carmel, are like my best friends. Last year we had to go through 4 iterations of a COVID micro wedding. I was like, my best friends, aka my friends from Carmel High School, have to be there. And that was something that I would give anything to go back. So the advice I would give you guys is to recognize that you have such a unique family right now, and you are around each other all the time. And at some point in your life, you're not going to be able to be surrounded by your best friends, but know that the friendships you're building right now are going to carry through. And I would give anything to have even a week of doubles just to be surrounded by my best friends for like a week. I would do anything. I would do a 10,000-yard distance set. And I know I used to cry about those in high school.
What would you tell somebody who is thinking about joining Carmel Swim Club?
Do it. You won't regret it. I think it's a little daunting knowing that it's a large commitment. It's a lot of hard work, but I think the tools and the skill set that you learn from swimming as a sport, and then also just being around the coaching staff who care about you as an individual, it's unparalleled to anything else you can learn. Like I remember we would be leaving morning practice exhausted, thinking about the test that we have that day. And like you were my coach then too. And all of the coaches would be standing, shaking our hand as we left the pool deck and saying like, have a good day and remember to make good grades, like make good choices and make good grades. And I think that that's something where, if you're swimming at like a younger club level, that's still going to be there where the coaching staff cares about you. Yeah. And I think it's really important if you're going to invest your time into a sport and into a lifestyle, you should do it with people that you trust and that want the best for you. So that's really something that you can go forward knowing that if you join Carmel Swim Club, you're going to get a great workout. But on top of that, you're going to become a really great all-rounded individual.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, this has proven to be a tricky question for people.
Oh, here we go.
You don't have to narrow it down to just one, but do you have a favorite Carmel swimming memory that you would like to share?
Yes. So I joined my senior year and I kind of like felt like I just joined my family. So I wasn't really aware that I wasn't there prior to senior year. And with that, like friendships developed right away. And like, you guys know, after swim practice, you're tired, you're hungry. You're like, who's making the best dinner? Let's go to their house. The parents are excited to have everyone over. And I remember at one point I had a couple girls at the house and we were eating dinner and my dad looked around and was like, you guys are a bunch of mermaids. Like, it's insane. You spend like 30 to 40 hours a week in the water. Like, you are mermaids. And that's something that like all of us just kind of looked around and were like, we really are mermaids.
Yeah.
And at almost 30 years old, we call ourselves the mermaids still.
Mm-hmm.
At my wedding, my dad referenced the mermaids. We have had monthly book club meetings that are like, it's the Mermaid Book Club, where it's like 10 to 15 girls that get together. Every time it's Thanksgiving or Christmas, we're always texting like, hey, mermaids want to get together. And that's just one of those things that I will take with me for like the rest of my life. And that memory of just knowing that we have like a special bond that went over like multiple classes. It wasn't just like my senior class. It was like the freshmen. It had been, you know, sophomores in college were part of the mermaid group. And I think it's like 20 to 30 girls that at any point in time we can get together and just like think back on our memories. But like, it's like a bond that I'll never forget, just being the mermaids.
I have a follow-up. What's been the best book that the Mermaid Book Club has read recently?
So as everyone will know, I skipped February. I'm sorry, guys. So we just started in November.
Okay.
Read a book called The Scent Keeper. And then there was another one that I'm blanking on the title right now. There was a couple. There was a body positivity one. There was one that was, I think it was like The Joker. I have read them. They're not my favorite, but what I will say is when we do our monthly book club, like Zooms, they are so much fun. I mean, it starts with like book club, but it always ends with like talking about what everyone's doing in like their personal life. You know, Rhiannon gives us updates from the club, which is really awesome because I always feel connected to Carmel. So can't say my favorite book yet. I've read 14 books this year though.
Very good. Okay.
Yeah, but maybe next month. I know Trish picked a really good one that I'm excited to read.
Okay. What is it? I have to
look at the title. I'm really bad about remembering titles of books, but I have it set in my Goodreads. So if you're on Amazon Goodreads, I recommend. If you follow me, I'll find it.
Okay, I might have to do that. I have to take a minute and share that you were the subject of one of my favorite coaching memories. Where
really?
Your high school state meet with Carmel, when you won the 500 free, I remember having that moment with probably 150 left to go, where all of a sudden, kind of that realization, like, she's going to do it. And I don't think you were leading at that point yet.
No. I mean, Chris went in and was like, swim your race.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what anyone else is doing.
But it was that we saw you executing that plan. And I was like, oh, it's happening. And just seeing that and seeing someone who had worked so hard and who I think it was my first year coaching with Carmel. And so I didn't know you hadn't really, I mean, I knew you hadn't really been there before, but to me, it was like you had always been part of that group. But to see someone who had worked really hard and was truly being coachable in that moment, executing that plan that you and Chris had developed and watching that come with such a great result, it was so exciting. And I just remember having that moment in my head where I'm like, oh my God, Colleen's winning this and it's happening right now.
I remember, I mean, of all of the years that I've swam put together, I've never had like a favorite moment outside of that moment. And it wasn't even so much that like I hit the wall and I was like, because I remember being as a swimmer, like the last 50, I was like, one, I probably have a little too much left in the tank, so let's get this going. And two, I remember hitting the wall thinking, it wasn't like, oh, this is awesome, I dropped a lot of time, or like the place I was in. I remember thinking like, I have so much trust right now.
Yeah.
And I think especially in high school and even outside of high school, trust is everything. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking like, I trust the coaching staff implicitly. And that's something that's really unique about Carmel. And I remember from there, like that was a moment where I was like, this is awesome. Like, trust and believe, put the work in. The reward is worth it. The times are challenging to get there. But I mean, to this point, that's probably one of my top 10 favorite memories of my life. Maybe top 5.
Oh, wow. That's pretty great. Okay. You're young. You'll have time to bump it out of the I think your perspective on this question is going to be pretty interesting, especially because the way your timing with the club worked. But do you think that there's anything that people might be surprised to learn about Carmel Swim Club?
I think, speaking from someone who joined later, I think that there's always a preconceived notion that if you join something later in life, you feel like you're going to be an outsider or you're not going to have the same memories. But it's kind of like with the same story that we've been talking about this entire time. When you join a family, it doesn't matter if you joined at 7, at 10, or in my case, 17, you join a family and everyone welcomes you. And it was just like, you're so surprised to sit there sometimes and be talking about a topic and realize, wait, I wasn't there, because it's inclusive, it's family. I mean, I remember on my first day of lunch, like I didn't really know many people. I knew some from, kindergarten, but like at the time, like I had gone to different schools and we lost like touch. But when I rejoined Carmel, it was like, oh, this is the lunch table. This is where you eat every day. If you find someone in the hallway, they're going to be like, what class? Like, do you need help going there? And as like a senior going in, that's a little daunting to be like, normally by then you're like, I know the school, I know the layouts. But I had members of the team, even freshmen, coming up and like, do you need help finding your study hall? Like, do you need help finding the lunch period? Like, do you need help like figuring out how to park and walk a mile up to the high school? And I think you'd be surprised that it doesn't matter when you join. When you join, you're just engulfed with people who are just so happy to have like, new family members and people to practice with and become friends with. It's really a great environment, and I can't stress that enough.
Anything else that you want to add or care to share?
I mean, I think this goes back to just the point of like, really appreciate the times that you have now, because I live on opposite sides of the countries from some of my best friends, my mermaids, my sisters, and it's really challenging sometimes because you just want to go hang out with someone like back in high school. You want to text like, hey, I know it's 5 p.m. on Saturday and we've had dinner, but let's go to Steak and Shake because I'm bored and hungry. Like you would give anything to go back in that time and place and just be able to hang out, get anywhere from like 5 to 10 people to go meet up, where now it's like you're planning months out. Okay, when's everyone going to be home this summer? Like, let's go hang out, let's meet up, let's do something. And I think that, my biggest takeaway would be if right now you could just really appreciate the time you have with everyone, because speaking to someone like, was it 12 years almost outside of the club, I would give anything to go back, like just for a week and be able to text my best friends, let's hang out, like let's meet up, let's go do something. And I miss it.
Yeah.
I miss being able to eat whatever I want in high school and swimming, but I really miss being able to like, work hard with my friends and celebrate together at the same time and stuff like that.
Well, thank you very much, Colleen. I appreciate your time today.